There is a lot of difficult messaging going around about quantum leaping or quantum jumping, and I just wanted to really share my perspective on this and tell you what I think the truth about it really is, and also show you that it's more available to you than you think, but probably not in the way you think. Welcome, my name is Lorena. I am a self-concept coach, mentor, and guide, and I am here to help you shift your identity, change your state of being, change your self-concept, embody a new version of yourself, become your future self now, so that you can really align with and manifest and call in your most authentic soul desires that you are meant to experience, that you came here to experience. If this is your very first time here, or it's not, but for some reason you're not subscribed yet, then please do that. If you want to stay, if you enjoy this, then please subscribe. It supports my channel and it also ensures that you don't miss future videos. And if you like this video, I'd also appreciate a little like, a little thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. It's really annoying, but it really does help. And I also really love reading your comments. So if you've got anything to share, any insights you receive from this, then please let me know in the comments below. I always read them and I always try to respond to all of them. If you desire to work with me privately, intimately, in a coaching container, I have a signature coaching program called Recreate Yourself. It's my baby. It's my life's work, and it's where you get coached by me day in, day out to really step into a new version of yourself, sustain a new self-concept, shift your deep-rooted subconscious beliefs, reprogram all of that stuff and leave the past behind and really step into a new future, manifest a new future. So the link for that is also below, and my DMs on Instagram are always open for any questions, or if you just want to connect and you just want to talk to me, feel free to message me anytime. So let's talk about quantum jumping or quantum leaping. And I've never really used that terminology much before because I don't really like it, and I think it can get a bit difficult and toxic. I know a few years ago, let's say 1 or 2 years ago, it was almost like a big trend that everybody was talking about it. Everybody was talking about quantum jumping, parallel realities, quantum leaping, because it sounds so appealing, right? It's like you jump into a different timeline, into a different reality where all of your current problems don't exist. Everything that currently bothers you doesn't exist anymore. How great, and you can get that in an instant? Yeah, I want that, of course. But it came with a lot of problematic messaging, in my opinion, and it also often would speak to people's desperation, which I think is a really difficult thing. Because as coaches, right, and I think every coach will agree with me, hopefully every coach that's in integrity will agree with me, we're here to empower people. We're here to support people in stepping into their truth and becoming the best version of themselves. And sometimes the messaging that goes around that is about fast results or jumping timelines, and that might not be the intention of the people who are relaying that information, but that can sometimes lead to playing into people's egos and people's desire for instant gratification. So all that to say, I'm not saying a quantum leap or a quantum jump is not possible. What I am saying is that it's not happening in the way that you might expect. Some of the messaging that goes around, or, if that messaging is misunderstood, that happens too. It can create the illusion that all you need to do is sit around and visualize and imagine that you are in a different reality, and then you will just shift into a different reality. People then often stay in waiting, hoping, wishful thinking, and also in complete resistance to their current reality, their current circumstances. Through resistance, nothing will shift. You can't be in resistance if you want anything to change in your world. If you want anything to change in your reality, you actually need to practice surrender more than you are resisting. But if you are in resistance to your current reality and you're sort of wishing it away because you want to jump timelines, that can create a lot of resistance for what's currently happening and actually keeps you more in what's currently happening because you're turning it into more of a problem. And a lot of the clients that I would call in have been in this place where they actually were trying to shift their reality for months or sometimes years, which kept them in a state of waiting more than anything. It kept them in a state of remaining stuck. And it kept them in a state of resistance towards what is, and ultimately in an inability to move forward with their lives. Wanting to instantly shift your reality, wanting to instantly jump ahead so far and jump timelines, quantum jump, quantum leap, often comes from a place of wishful thinking and from an unwillingness to take responsibility. And manifestation is really all about taking responsibility, as is changing your self-concept. In order to change anything about your identity or your reality, you really need to take responsibility for what is and what is around you and the choices that you are making. And I'm not coming from a place of blame here. There is a big difference between taking responsibility and falling into self-blame, but you have to take really radical responsibility. And if you take really radical responsibility, you can't be in a place where you're resisting what is. Now, there's nothing wrong with having big desires and big visions. In fact, I deeply encourage you to have those. I deeply encourage you to think big and see all of the possibilities that exist. Well, you can't really see all of the possibilities that exist, but be open to all of the possibilities that exist, to be open to receiving, to not keep yourself small just because it seems achievable. I do encourage you to dream big. And I encourage you not to bypass anything and to take the steps that you need to take in order to make that big goal happen. There are limitless opportunities, possibilities for you out there, ones that you can't even imagine. It is literally infinite, but those synchronicities, those opportunities, that potential that is actually showing up for you can't be controlled. It can only be received. And when people try to quantum leap into a different timeline, they're often trying to control the circumstances. That actually creates a lack of being open to those possibilities that you'd actually want to experience. When it comes to the whole concept of time and different timelines and things like that, I have a whole video about timing, divine timing, if you can control the timeline, infinite states, which I will link above my head and in the description box below, because I'm not going to go into that here now because it's going to get too long, and that's why I have that other video, so make sure you check that out if you want to hear about that more. But I want to tell you about my perception on quantum leaping and what I think a true quantum leap really is, that is very tangible and achievable and not based on wishful thinking and not based on just meditating your current circumstances away. So to me, quantum leaping is not necessarily about tangibly experiencing a different universe as such, or a parallel reality as such. Instead, it's about embodying a different state of consciousness that makes you feel like you're in a different timeline or a different reality. And that is where imagination comes into play, because imagination is so powerful for you to access these states and access the possibility of that reality. But then what comes next? Does it just magically appear for you? No, it doesn't. And that's where I see people getting tripped up. They think I visualize it and then it's supposed to magically appear for me. But especially if there's more of an emotional charge behind things, there's too much resistance, it will not magically appear. But there is a way to really quantum jump into a different reality that actually is realistic and based in tangible experiences that you can make and that you likely have made before. I think most of us will have had leaps like this before that didn't come from just visualizing. That can be your initiation. That can be your opportunity to dream bigger. So the key thing to quantum jump, quantum leap into a different reality are integration and embodiment. And this is really about changing your identity, changing your self-concept. Because when you become a new version of yourself, you experience your current reality completely differently, and you start making different choices, you start showing up differently, you start building new and different relationships, you start building new and different relationships to your desires, and things expand for you because you are different. You change yourself. And that is not something that you do on a surface level. That is not something that you just do conceptually. That's why I'm mentioning the words integration and embodiment, because it's a complete transformation of self. It requires you to transform your belief system radically. It requires you to completely change your relationship to your past. It requires you to step into a place of self-worth and empowerment, to look ahead and see possibility and feel into that possibility and then act from that possibility, which is my next point really. The biggest thing you can do to quantum leap, to quantum jump, is to take action. And people don't like hearing this often because they think it means forcing or resisting or trying to control. And also, I think lots of people are lazy, and it sounds magical to just sit there and visualize and things come to you. But there's always an action that follows, and that action follows often your embodiment, but sometimes you need to act before you are in that embodiment. A lot of the actions that I have taken in my life, every time I had a quantum leap, every time I leapt into becoming a new version of myself, and therefore a new internal reality essentially, which then reflected outward into my external reality, I took action before I was that version of myself. So that showed up like putting myself in rooms with people that inspire me before I felt like I was on their level. Putting myself in environments that would expand me, that would be further ahead than I was. Maybe, for example, this flat. When I went to view this flat, I didn't think I would be able to afford it. And yet I went. And I did this with a lot of places where I went to viewings where I didn't think I could afford it. And I took that action and put myself in that environment. Every time I hired a coach or a mentor, that came from a place of, I am leaping towards my next level because I'm not my next level yet, but that action will bring me there. You're sending a message to your subconscious by acting in alignment with your future self, even when you're not that woman yet. Which brings me to the next point, which is facing your fears and doing what scares you. And that is not coming from a place of contraction where you're meeting your trauma and you're collapsing in on yourself. No. It's not that kind of fear. It's not like a tangible fear that actually brings you in a state of being traumatized or nervous system collapse. It's not a fear that is an actual factual fear, but it's those fears that stem from limiting beliefs. And sometimes that's hard to distinguish, right? Sometimes you can't even distinguish that. You think it's a factual fear, you think it's a valid fear, and obviously everything you feel is valid, but a lot of the times these fears and restrictions are just coming from limited thinking and not because it's actually scary, right? Not because you're actually unsafe. So meeting these fears that are coming from limitation and doing the things that really scare you can actually also expand you into your next level because you're stretching yourself. You're stretching yourself out of your comfort zone by doing these things. And then what I also really think supports a quantum leap is investing in yourself, investing time, money, effort, and energy into yourself above anyone and anything else. I see a lot of people prioritizing investing their time, energy, and money into external things and into things that give them a short-term result. But the people who I see who have the biggest results, and that's how I have shifted so quickly as well. I have shifted tremendously in the last few years. I feel like every time I record a video, I'm a different version of myself. A lot of that for me came through investing so much time and energy and effort and money into myself. I've worked with a lot of coaches, I've done a lot of trainings, and I also focus a lot on my own healing. And I recently had somebody tell me, well, isn't that selfish if I only focus on myself? And I sat with it, and I do understand that question because, of course, in the self-development world, it's all about the self. Yet, I do think that is what we need in this world, because if we all heal ourselves, if we all step into our future selves, if we all create the love and abundance and freedom that we deserve, if we allow ourselves to expand and grow and transform and heal and all of the things, that is going to have a ripple effect, and it's going to change the collective consciousness as well. I really think you are your best investment, and investing in yourself and putting your energy and your focus towards yourself and ultimately your future self is going to quantum leap you into a different reality, because you step into complete self-worth and you step into a place of expansion that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to reach, at least not that fast. And that is really what, quantum jumps, quantum leaps to me are about. It's about a fast shift, but that fast shift is not an overnight shift. It's a shift that comes from boldness, that comes from acting from a version of you that you are not yet. So I would love to know from you in the comments below what your desired reality looks like. If you could quantum jump, quantum leap into a new reality right now, what would that reality look like? Comment that below, and if you want to sit with it, if you want to think about it, I'll give you some homework as well to sit with and journal on what are the action steps that I can take to become that version of myself, so I can actually quantum leap into that reality. What can I do to make that happen and to bring myself closer to that next level? So I trust this served you, and I will definitely see you in the next video.